Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to Torch Tales, Stories Behind the Hood. I'm your host, Frank Vargas, aka Traveling Frankie. And here we are at 7:45 or so in the morning, and one of my guests said yes to do something this early, which I don't know why, but he must be crazy. But then again, he is in the welding industry, so who knows? Brad White with Arc Life Fab, right?
Yeah,
All right, Brad, like I said, thank you so much for just coming on so early. I guess that'll give us a chance to start our day and actually do what pays the bills, right?
that's actually the whole idea behind this early.
Right. Well, Brad, so you and I have kind of talked here and there through social media. We have a lot of mutual friends and stuff like that. And I'm a follower. You're a follower, so thank you for the support as well. And I know
Appreciate it.
that you've been in the welding industry in many different roles. And I just heard that you are kind of working on something else. And we'll get to that and all that, and we'll see what happens. But Brad, before we go into the meat of the conversation on what you do in the welding industry now, let's go back and find out who Brad really is, where he comes from, what did you do as a kid, and so let's start where you're from.
From Freeport, Texas, like Freeport, Lake Jackson area, that whole Gulf Coast industrial area, about 45 minutes south of Houston, right on the coast.
Gotcha. So I guess growing up as a kid in that area, you were already exposed to the industrial side and whether you liked it or not, and so on.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah,
So
100%.
yeah. So are you like a first generation or second generation in the trade?
Uh, Third actually.
Third. All right.
Yeah. My grandpa was a welding instructor. He welded in the Navy and stuff, and he taught at Brazosport Community College. And
Yeah.
my dad did a lot of vessel work and stuff like that. And so just kind of like I go to my grandpa's classroom after school, and
Oh, really?
yeah, was forced to sit at the front of the class as like this crazy little hyper 5 or 6 year old kid, and like just made to, hey, you're gonna go along with the class because this, family's working, you got to do the same thing, let's go. And so
That's that's cool. So here you are just running around, and because that was the babysitting at that time, right? Like you're gonna be here because
yeah,
that's
yeah.
that's that's what I figured. Are you an only child?
uh Technically yes.
All right. That's
uh
okay.
families remarry, half siblings get born, and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm the only boy, but I am the only child between my dad and my mom. But you
Okay.
know,
All right. Hey, that's life. I'm there. I get it. I'm reliving it
sometimes
myself now,
yeah,
so it's
sometimes
all good.
sometimes the family tree is like a tomato vine. So
I that's today's family tree for sure. In today's world, it is. But growing up, now you are exposed a little bit of, here and there. You see grandpa, you see that, and so on. But as a kid, now when you are in middle school, about to go into high school, what are you thinking? What were you into?
I was into sports and let's see, basketball, football, skateboarding, swimming. I did competitive swimming in the summer times to kind of
Oh,
keep
really?
me busy a little bit. But the most times actually is um, was always tagging along with my dad and my grandpa on, in the shop, side work, hey, we got to get work done before you can go play basketball. Hey, we got work to do before you can do this. And like we were kind of, the handyman of the area, and
I see.
just kind of, like I was welding and building like skateboard ramps and stuff like that at,
Oh, really? So how
at like
how how
around
old
10 or
were you around this time?
probably about 10 or so.
Oh, really? So you're definitely all right, got it. Now I see
Yeah.
why the lifestyle. Now I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So when you finish high school, now you are 16, 17, 18, somewhere in that bracket. Because you have been helping your dad, because you've been kind of exposed to the trade, Is this like what you thought? All right, this is it. Now I've seen my grandpa. Now I saw my dad. I maybe want to follow those footsteps.
Not necessarily. During high school, I would work in a fab shop after school, like welder, like heavy wall, duplex, and stuff like that. Doing a lot of fab work for like pretty much all the Dow plants.
Yeah,
Excuse me, in the area and everything. And so by the time I had graduated high school, I was already somewhat burned out in the welding industry because
got it.
you go to school and then you go to work during the at night, and then by the time you finish at midnight, you're dead tired to go to high school the next day. But then you got swim practice or basketball practice, and like that whole thing was just
Yeah, it gets to you. I've heard that quite a few times. You want to do
yeah.
completely something far away from it.
Yeah, and so I had right after I graduated, I went overseas for a month uh, to go help some family members move back from the Air Force. And then when I got back, I for some reason I had it in my head like, oh, I'm gonna have all these scholarships from swimming and the mail, and none of that happened. So it was just pretty much, well, there's the chemical plant. I could go work, and it just kind of fell into that. And then I started the Boilermaker Union,
Oh, okay. All right.
and did Boilermaker Union for about 6 months, and realized that union lifestyle really wasn't for me. To, not to
Okay.
bash them, because it's a great opportunity for many
Correct.
others, but just for me, it just, for whatever reason, it just, I didn't
Yeah,
like it.
you got to be into it. If you're not into it, for many reasons, it's just a personal choice, and it is great for some, not great for others.
Yeah, I
We
mean,
get it
but it is an option. So, and
for
actually,
sure.
I went to scaffold building of all things.
Yeah, yeah. That was a
Yeah,
nice choice.
yeah, I went to scaffold building, and then eventually fell into working for this company that we did everything. We would find the pipe job and valves, and then we'd build the scaffolds up to them. We'd have to strip the insulation off of them, do all the cutting and fab, and do everything, and then paint, insulate it again, and then go back and tear the scaffolding down. So I
That's
kind of enjoyed that because it was such a like multi-process step to it versus
yeah,
just
yeah.
the one thing of welding. So
Now, when you are working at 10, you said you're already doing some welding, some stuff.
yeah,
I'm assuming that your dad started teaching you this, and was the first thing that you learned, was it stick, or what was it?
I actually my grandpa taught me, and the first
Okay.
process I ever learned at 6 years old was DC aluminum TIG.
All right. Well, that's
Yeah.
not everyone's start.
his his afternoon classes were all of his advanced TIG classes. So when I would get off the school bus, it would just pretty much, that's where I would sit at the front of the class, and you know it
Well,
was, I didn't want to sit still, but I inadvertently learned a lot back then that I now look back on like, man, I really had a great opportunity to be better now than what I am. But I was
yeah.
sick.
Well, so that's funny that you asked that. So now, many decades after, here you are. How many processes do you consider that you are decent at?
Oh gosh, a lot, a lot more than I use regularly. That's the regularly I'm AC TIG, DC TIG, MIG, and flux core, but in the bag of tricks lies like stick welding. I've done a little underwater welding, not enough to really say like, oh, I've been underwater. It's more of like stuck my hand in a tank and done it enough to where you know, um, a lot of um, oxyacetylene. I
Yeah.
don't do that anymore, but we used to do that a lot with like all the flashings and stuff like that on the houses that we would help out around the neighborhood to repair.
Yeah.
working on old hot rods, like all the old lead work and lead brazing and stuff like that to do all the fills. Because
Gotcha. Gotcha. So I'm assuming that because it was the first one and maybe one of the ones that you do the most, that you consider that your best process is TIG.
yeah, by far.
Got,
It's
gotcha.
definitely the process that I go to first when I look at a project and be like, okay, well I know I can TIG that. Well, what else could I do to it? Okay, well I haven't done MIG in a while, so let's just try to MIG it. Okay, okay, that worked out fine.
Got it. And since you really, since there was no scholarships that came in, through the door, and now
Yeah.
you're like, I gotta get paid. I need something. I gotta put food on the table, and the union didn't work, and you go to the next thing. Between once you chose this is the career, this is the path, or there was by default, and now, was there ever a time in your life where you said, I would like to do something else, or
Oh
you
yeah.
just kept going for it?
Oh yeah, definitely. There was definitely periods of breaks in between there. Let's see. Right after in '05, I was at BP Texas City during that explosion, and
Okay.
right after that, I had basically a realization that okay, I'm 24. Like the only time I'm gonna get to do this because I was huge into playing guitar and thought that okay, I'm gonna go to Austin and I'm gonna make it as a guitar player. And so basically, like right after my first marriage, like that's what I did. And
Oh, so you
within
actually did do that?
yeah. So there's a period of hiatus for me from like '05 to 2011 ish that
Okay.
I did the music industry.
Really?
I got extremely humbled on that. Yeah, there's than you within the first 5 minutes of landing in Austin. And so I was like, okay, so maybe there's something else I can do. And had a few people that I knew up there that kind of worked in like the behind the scenes music style, like did
Yeah.
professional audio and lighting and stuff. And so immediately that same night started working shows with them, and I
Wait,
eventually,
hold on.
yeah,
So you're actually not joking when you
no,
say it was about 5 minutes and then you realize,
yeah,
like, maybe I should be in the back of the stage, not in the front of the
yeah.
stage?
Exactly. Like, so I remember the artist he since passed on since then, but like, it was at the Blue Moon in Austin,
Yeah.
and the like we go to set up for sound check, and there's this blues guy, JT Coldfire, amazing guitar player. I mean, like Jimi Hendrix, Eric Johnson style, like just shred. And he's like, "Hey, Bubba, you want to go up and sound check?" And I'm like, "No, you can
So you
sound check
grabbed yours
front."
and just threw it away. I don't play guitar.
It pretty much just left it in the case and was just like, yeah, this guy's gonna kill it. So all right, cool. Where's the beer?
Oh man, so how long did you stay in Austin?
uh,
Doing the music
I
thing.
I mean, I lived there. Let's see. That was basically I lived there, and let's see, to divorce. I think it was 2012 or 13 when I moved out of Austin.
Oh, so you stayed there for a few years, and
Yeah, I
during
stayed there.
during
Like I
this
said,
whole time you were doing just the night gigs and stuff. I mean, just kind of somewhat related in the music, or you were doing something
somewhat.
else.
There were periods of time in there where actually there was a staging company that was looking for aluminum welders, and we did a bunch of like
Hold
stage
on, did you say
building,
a dating company?
staging.
Oh, I was like dating company. How does that dating company? I'm like, what? Yeah,
Nah,
got it.
it's a staging company. So like they build the stages for like the big musical artists and stuff like that. And so we worked out of this airplane hangar and built a bunch of like aluminum truss staging and stuff. But that was only for like 5 or 6 months. It wasn't really anything like, oh, I did this permanently. It was kind of off and on for 6 months, and
Yep,
you
I
know.
got it. So when
But
when
yeah,
when you are in Austin now, 5 years later, you were, or whatever, that's 7, whatever that was. Where did you go? Did you go come back to Texas?
Oh, I stayed in. I mean, Austin is Texas, so I mean, I stayed in Texas, and I've never lived outside of Texas. I've gone to other places and visited other places. I've run sound and went on tour with a Texas country band, and kind of did that whole thing, and then realized, you know what, touring sucks. I'd rather be home in my bed every night. Like
Tell me about it. That's kind of what I do without the groupies or the music. I mean, it's pretty much, I'm always in some new bed at some hotel. Here I am I'm in Jamaica now, so I've been here
You're,
for about
but
four or
it's
5 days.
Jamaica. It's Jamaica,
This,
man. Come on, like.
this is the background right
I
here.
know. Look at my background. Okay, Kansas City,
Yeah,
Jamaica, a little
I
bit
don't feel
different.
bad for you. I don't feel bad for you. It's all good.
Yeah,
But that's pretty cool. Because I guess, once the reason why I ask, what else have you done if you had a break, where you weren't doing it, is because I've known now so many people that have done that somehow, go out,
yeah.
come right back in, because it's just second nature. It's muscle memory. It's something that they just um, they know that they're good at, and if you play your part and you invest in yourself, and whether it's just on learning and also using today's technology to promote yourself, there's a lot you can do.
It
And
it also, it gives you something to fall back on, to where, like you said, you can do it. Well, okay, well, what about this other thing I'm curious about? Let's try that out. And if it doesn't work out, cool. I already know that I could come back to any welding job and just pick up where I left off. Maybe you have to go through the hierarchy of a shop or a company, to where, you start at the bottom. All right, you're the
you got to
grunt.
start. You got to start somewhere.
Yeah, but you got to start. But then very soon, within 6 months, you could be back up to the top where you were prior to,
That
you know,
that's
taking a
it.
break
That's
for a
it.
bit.
And do you have any kids, Brad?
Yeah, I do. I have two. I have one
Two.
with my first. I have one with my first wife. He's 18, and I have my daughter with my current wife, who's 5.
Cool. So just like me, life happens. Sometimes things don't work out, and you find yourself, with a new family. So I totally get it. That's just life. Are any of your kids dab into what dad does, or they're like whatever? No.
My daughter, she absolutely says, like, when you ask her what she's gonna do, as like in life, or what she wants to do, she'll be like, oh, like, I want to, she says she wants to be Taylor Swift, but she's like, but I'm going to weld too, because sometimes you just got to weld, so. And
Oh,
she
that's
has her
funny.
own hood. She's done a couple of YouTube videos with me for Edge, and it just kind of depends on what I'm welding, to whether she's interested in it or not.
Gotcha. That is pretty cool. And now that you mentioned Edge, I know that you are an ambassador, or you affiliate yourself with a few brands, right?
Yeah.
And before I ask you who they are and what do you do for them and how does that work, how social media, Instagram,
Sure.
the ambassadors and the connections and all that became after you started using social media, or was
Yeah.
it? So it was after. So that was the
Hmm.
exposure to some of them and then to you, I'm guessing.
Right.
Got it. How does that come about where the first company, the first line reaches out, or you reached out to them? How did that come about?
Basically, Edge. With
Okay.
Edge, they had a guy, Alfred Kugler. Shout out to Coog. Haven't talked to you in a while, buddy. Sorry. But he was like, "Hey, man, you want to try these cups?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." At that time, I was using a Furic cup. Furic makes a great product. I've met
Yeah.
Michael several times. Like, he's just a great guy for the industry.
Yeah.
And uh, he sent me some of their cups, and I was using them, and I had an idea that maybe the 15 cup that I was using, was a little too long on the like, after it fans out. like where the neck part was, that it needed to be shortened a little bit, and I wasn't sure how short, and I didn't know, you know, it just felt like for some reason I wasn't getting what I could get more out of.
Gotcha.
And he was like, "Yeah, well, you can reach out to them and talk to them. I guess they'll take it." And I reached out to Stacia and Eric from Edge and gave them
Yeah.
my feedback. And she's like, "Well, we could do custom cups." I'm like, "Really?" And she's like, "Yeah, let me, what size are you thinking?" And I told them, "Oh, let's try a half inch shorter here at this
Yeah.
part." And after several conversations, they made a custom cup for me, and half inch was a little too much. So we add a little bit more on it. After a bunch of back and forth, we ended up settling on like 5/8 of an inch shorter on the front end of the cups. So basically, the GL like 9 series, 20 series cups are the shorty ones. I helped them develop that series. So,
Nice.
you know,
So
yeah.
now you are giving them this feedback because you are an
Hmm.
actual user.
Yeah.
In your case, you wanted something specific out of it, and they were able to work with you, and you found that, hey, that's cool. Someone that listens and works with me to make something that I think it might be better.
Yeah, exactly. They are basically, they have their finger on the industry, and they take criticism and feedback like wholeheartedly to like, okay, well, what do y'all need? What can we do to help the industry? And
Gotcha.
that type of, there's a lot of companies out there that really don't care. They're just
No,
like, oh, well, this is what we think because we have these, R&D people that's their
yeah.
job, and we're going to tell you what the industry needs. We're not going to listen to what the industry says the industry needs. And
I've been there many times. Especially I'm in the gas apparatus, brass, and everything else. Open flame and flame tools, and I've been at it for 15 years. I've seen, I've talked, and wait, like perfect example. Here I am in Jamaica, and I had a welding instructor at a very low end school, but he's been doing this for 45 years.
mhm,
And some of the stuff, some of the cuts and the bevel cuts on a 4 or 5 inch plate that he's doing with a oxy fuel torch, he taught me a few things and gave me some pointers and feedback that I definitely have to bring back to the factory and implement, because these guys are the guys that do this for a living.
yeah,
So a lot of us that represent a company, yeah, we know the product, we know what should do, we know the instructions, the safety part, but let's not kid ourselves. We're at the end of the day, we're not the expert. We're not doing this day in, day out. So it's you guys, and that's where the feedback should come from.
yeah. I mean, it's you. I guess one thing I've noticed over the last, I don't know, probably 6 or 7 years with the industry, as well as technology, like coming in and helping grow things, as far as like the how welding machines are done and everything like
Yeah,
that, and all now. But it's also come into the technology for welding lenses and like protecting the safety issues and the
yeah, the
safety
PPE side,
technology.
yeah.
Yeah, the PPE side that's come in that a lot of people probably haven't noticed that much, to where it's kind of cool to you notice like, wow, man, that was something that I realized back in the field days, that you needed that little heat shield on the side of your glove when you're running those hot duplex runs, that now it's just commonplace that that's what's going on, that's what's happening. You can buy glove sets that have two dominant hands and one, things like that it's like, man, I gotta buy two pairs of gloves. I have all these left-handed extra gloves from
Yeah, but that is what's cool. That and I guess that happens a lot more with when companies are on the medium, smaller size. That they are still hungry enough for feedback, so they can just work with public and fix things.
yeah.
Because that's it, like we said. But now you are helping them, and they listen and all that. So who I'm assuming that at some point they said, "Hey, would you like to be
Yeah,
an ambassador?" Or was that how that worked? Was that how it
yeah,
happened?
that's exactly how it happened. Stacia was like, "Well, hey, we." At that point, they had a few people, Mark DeLang, Stephen DeLune, more were overseas guys. James West was one of their sponsored guys. I think Drew Butcher was on the team too. And they just kind of, reached out and were like, "Hey, would you like to join Edge and be an ambassador?" And I was like, "Okay, cool. Like, what does that mean?"
Well,
And
that's
they're like,
exactly, yeah, yeah. What does that mean?
and
Yeah.
then it was kind of like, "Well, we don't really know, but if you figure it out, let us know and we'll figure it out together." And so it kind of, once that came on and then other people came on, it kind of grew into what is now known as the Edge Army. And
Yeah.
I don't know how many people are on the team now. There's a lot of us.
Yeah, I think Johnny Wells, Johnny
Yeah,
Snyder, we're good friends, and I think yeah, he was telling me probably 20.
yeah,
It's
there's a
yeah,
lot.
it's somewhere out there. Now exactly what does that mean? What do you do? What is an ambassador? I have
Um,
my opinion of what that is, but I want to hear yours.
I feel like by definition, an ambassador should use, like, for a company specifically, should use those products and give an active feedback to them to help their product grow, but also like reach out to other people and be like, "Hey, this is what I use it for. Try this and see if this works better for you." Or know the product line for the company enough to where if you see somebody struggling with something, you can reach out to them and be like, "Hey, look, what settings are you running this on or that on? I noticed your welds look like this, but we can get them looking better. Let's work together to try to, like, this is what I know about the product, so like let's go from there." And kind of just notice things and help people use products for that company better, or for maybe an outside of the box that they didn't think existed, if that
Got
makes any
it.
sense.
And are you affiliated with any other brands right now?
Yeah, Everlast Welders. Actually in the transition for the new job, working tech for them. I also represent, or have been with Off Trail for several years too, and Arc Zone Weld Supply.
Gotcha. When you say that you are transitioning to a new position with Everlast, um, this is a position that they had before. This is a position that they
Yeah,
just got it. Okay. So
yeah,
they just grew to another person,
yeah.
or got it. Okay. All right. And what
They're
does that mean? What are you going to do for them?
basically, you call into tech support and you either talk to me or Mark Winchester or Jesse McCullum. And Jesse and Mark started it basically, and just Jesse's growing into more of the laser side as lasers are becoming pretty predominantly and growing like very
Oh yeah.
fast with them.
Oh
And
yeah.
so, as the company grows and more models and stuff come out, like tech support's got to be there. And
Of course.
you know, it
Of
it
course.
kind
Yeah.
of I I mean, I don't know if it helps or not, for my experience, but knowing the machines as well as I do and have been working with them for a long time, probably as long as I've been with Edge, for like 5 or 6 years.
Oh really?
And yeah, so just seeing the machines grow to what they are, and back to the technology thing of where technology has come in to push the industry further and make the machines a lot more capable and smaller than what they used to be. Knowing how to interpret that to a guy that's like, "Hey, I want a top of line TIG welder." Okay, well, cool. And they get it, and they're like, "Wait a minute, this is a computer. This isn't a TIG welder." And they're like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, it's
Yeah.
kind of the same. So this is how you go about using it." And
Got it.
working out,
Got it.
working on
And
the things like
how
that.
are you going to be working out of an office? Are you going to be working? How is that? And also, I guess you're not going to be doing much welding per se now, are you?
I wouldn't say that. I can't quit welding. There's always side work. let's say that. Like I side work, the arc life fabrication part of me, like side work will always be there for me. Like always, I have a few like contracts with shops and stuff like that that I
That's what I
do.
was gonna go. Yeah, next
Yeah.
ask you. So,
So yeah, and then it's a work from home.
oh, okay, got it.
You know,
Now,
go ahead.
say that. Say that
What?
again.
I said, yeah, it's just a work from home position for that. So it's not, it's gonna take some adjusting to, of not going to a shop every day, not sweating, being you know, but at the same time, I can use my knowledge from what I
Yeah,
know to
of course,
help things.
and
So
help each other out. Yeah.
yeah.
Now you just mentioned Arclifefab.
hmm
When did that start? Where did the name come from? And what exactly is it that you do also, just like you mentioned, those side jobs?
Mainly, I had been working at a shop for a company, TQ Industries, for like the last 11 years. We were doing like sheet metal and stuff. And I had always gotten asked to do like side jobs for people. Like, I mean, I'm pretty versatile in what I can do. I can build a deck, I can build an awning, I can build a railing, anything from live edge tables to signs for your business, a deck for your backyard, pretty much anything. And so I kind of needed or wanted a name for that, and just stumbled into Arclife because eventually, like, every project has a little bit of welding in it, just because
Yeah.
like I can do that. So it just kind of went into that, and then the fabrications part is just part of building anything for it. So
Gotcha. And how long do you think it took you to come up with a name? Because, like, for example, Torch Tales, for
uh-huh.
me, I remember, I'm going to start this thing and I just want to talk to people and friends in the industry. I keep going back and forth for about a month. And I remember I was watching, well, I'm in the torch business. And then I think I saw Fairy Tales or something like a month
Mhm.
later. And I'm like, tales, stories, torch. Huh, torch tales. There you go.
Hey, that works. I don't know. Like I've always had a knack for like coming up with names for things.
Gotcha.
Originally I was Blue Star. Well, actually, back back in the day, it was Brad Ass Fabrications. Uh,
Okay.
and then my wife's like, "No, you can't call it that. That's not very nice to some people. Like old people are not gonna like that name." And then it changed to like Blue Star Weld Fab, but because I'm a Cowboys fan, and so
Sorry about that.
that's okay. I'm used to disappointment.
Yeah.
And so, but there's actually a bunch of companies that start with Blue Star up around Dallas Fort Worth area for that same
Oh,
reason. So trying to avoid a cease and desist, I just kind of stumbled upon ArcLife, and then ArcLife was like the beginning of it, I guess. And we created a Facebook group, ArcLife, and then I just added fabrications to the end of it, and it was
gotcha.
kind of that.
Gotcha.
So
I always wonder just if people go through the same thinking process and or some people just like no, I just woke up, I'm gonna do something, and boom, that was the name, and they stick to it. But yeah, in my case, I took me a while, and just one name and one name only. Now you just mentioned like cowboy fans and a cowboy fan, and aside from welding, you're not welding, you're not working. What are you doing to just chill, relax, and take your mind off things?
hang out with the family, dude. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
from anything from smoking ribs to
Oof.
yeah,
Now we're
barbecue.
talking.
It's Texas life, man. So like I feel like I have perfected my pork ribs. If you're ever around Texas, let me know. I can probably throw some on. It takes about 6 hours.
Well,
It's done.
hell yeah. Now that's it. It's a date, dude.
So
It's a date.
uh
Yep.
doing that, my daughter, she's into competitive dance, so that takes up a lot of free time.
Oh
Being
yeah.
that now it's like this part of the year up until February is when they're, it's just rehearsals and they're trying to get the routines down. So it's dance class twice a week, that sort of thing. And then once the competition rolls around, then it's Saturday mornings at competitions and, supporting
I
her and
I know that life. I did travel baseball for
ooh,
about 15 years. I didn't have a life, even though I loved what I did. But it was leaving Uniworld Products in the afternoon around 2:33, going to the field because I coached, getting home at 7, 8 every single day, and then on Saturdays and Sundays it was like double headers, tournaments, and this and that, and it was like I didn't have friends, I didn't have anything else other than that's all I did with my two boys. Yeah, so I know the life.
yeah, yeah,
Yep.
exactly. And I mean, it's just, I mean, I don't know if it's ever relaxing, really, to say the least. I don't know if it seems like when I'm like, hey, I am not gonna do any side work for the next 2 weeks because I want to clean the garage or do nothing. That's when the phone just blows up and it's like, hey, we want this done. Hey, can we see about getting a quote for this? Or hey, this broke. Can you weld it up for us? Hey, like that. Whenever I say that out loud, there's always that pause, and my wife will look at me and be like, you're going to be busy, right? And I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
it kind of
Yeah.
happens that way.
Well,
So,
now
I
you
mean,
gotta now when income is tight or light, that's you gotta say that out loud. So like, just bring the energy in.
yeah,
Um,
exactly.
right? I know that we probably won't get a chance to shake a hand at FabTech 'cause you did
Right.
mention that you come in pre-hand, kind of help Everlast set up.
Yeah, typically, yeah, I come in, help Jesse set up the booth, and help Station Eric set up because the Edge and Everlast do like a co-booth, and
Yeah,
kind of do that, and usually get everything ready for the show. I just like I think it's cool to kind of set the table for everybody to come and eat during the show if that metaphor reaches out.
yeah.
Uh, and I, it's just I don't know. It's just something.
But is this usually how it's been for you in the past, or you actually do stayed in the have stayed in the past
Uh,
through the
the
whole
last
show?
the last 2 years I've stayed. It just
Okay.
setting up the booth kind of fell into it. Let's see, in Atlanta 2 years ago, I was coming in to help Edge set up, and then
Yeah,
Jesse with Everlast had gotten sick, and so it just fell right. Their booth was right down the way, and
got it.
he needed help setting up, and I saw somebody needed help, so um, a few of us just like jumped in and like, hey, let's put some carts together, set some welders
There
up,
you go. What was the first
So
Fab Tech you ever went to?
Atlanta,
And that was the one a couple of years
yeah,
ago?
2 years ago, yeah,
Oh,
that was the
really?
first
So,
one I've ever
that's
been
actually
to.
surprising for someone that's been in the industry for so long that only a
Yeah.
couple of years ago was your first one.
Well, the company I was working for, usually this time of year, we start to get really busy.
Mm.
So, at that point, it was kind of, and, the affordability of the trip was kind of like, geez,
It's on you.
and it starts to, as parents, you start to think about, well, Christmas is coming up. You got to be able to afford that.
Yeah,
So,
that's something that I actually give a lot of kudos to some of the um, mobile guys and stuff like that that do, that can take the time off from work and just go spend on, out of their own pocket. And because it's not easy, it's a big expense. You're not making money, you're spending money, you're
yeah,
falling behind in things. It's a huge show. By the time it's all said and done, you are anywhere between 2 to 5 days out. So it's a commitment. But what was your first impression? Probably heard of Fabtex for so long.
yeah.
2 years ago, you go there, you walk in the show. What was your impression of just seeing that show?
It was a lot to take in. And just when you think you've seen everything, you turn the corner and there's another hall full of stuff that you did not know existed ever in your
I know
life. And then just when you think that happens, there's another hall and you're like, God, man, does this
it,
like
it just keeps going.
last year in Chicago, I didn't even make it to the other to the A and B hall. I just stayed in C and D for Welding Fab, and then saw all the machinery and stuff like that. Like I didn't even make it to the other end. Like that was, I completely forgot about him when it was the third day and was like, oh crap, I completely
That
blanked on this whole area over here.
that because I'm working the booth for the company that I work for, I take small walks and all that and kind of check the area out. But yeah, I don't get to go to the all the other halls and check things. And one, because it would take me a long time out of I would be out of the booth for a long time. And also,
Yeah,
when you're standing at the booth all day long, and even just those small steps there, you tire. And then
yeah,
after that, you end up entertaining or with customers, and you don't get to the hotel until 10:30, 11. Start all over again. It's that show is just, it kills me, but I loved every second of it regardless.
yeah. Fab Tech is cool. Like I never like my first year was extremely eye opening to like wow, there really is a lot to the industry, and it's kind of weird you how you like us as welders, and I hate the word influencer, but that whole thing to where you start to you know somebody but you don't know them, you only know them by their Instagram handle or TikTok handle or whatever it is.
Yeah,
And you're talking to it for a little while, and you're like, man, I know this guy from somewhere. Like who?
I know.
And then you look at the badge and you're like, oh, why does that name sound familiar? Like, where do I know you from? And you're like, oh man, hey, like that whole
Dude,
dynamic is like a weird navigating thing for like a social concept.
that happens to me every other week. I do so many shows throughout the year and so many open houses and this and that. And there's people that don't know so much about me because we've already had a conversation. And hey, Frank, what's going on? And I see them at the show. And hey, yeah, yeah, I remember you coach baseball. And they tell me my whole life story. And I'm like, oh crap, who is he again? And I'm trying to see the name, the badge, just to see if I can catch the name. And sometimes I just give up and I just grab it by the neck and I go, "Sorry, dude, who are you again?" And they start laughing because yeah, it's that whole connection things. You never know if it's from just social media or we actually met and had a conversation. In today's world, it's hard keeping up with that side of things. Yep,
Yeah.
for
And then,
sure.
of course there's always the weird moments of what somebody as on social media, and then you realize that it's not them in real life. It's this character or this facade for them. Like there's a few out there, and
God,
yeah, that
I
whole
know, I know. And
and
so, where would you like to see yourself in the next 5, 10 years? Like, what are you one of those that it's already starting to have a end goal vision of what you want to do, or are you still kind of like most guys and most of us, like, we're just taking it one day at a time?
really just in this transition period, I could see myself being like um, just behind the curtains, helping the welding industry.
Gotcha.
Helping push the envelope for the technology to help the next generation of welders come in. But at the same time, like I love being under the hood, and being behind that glowing puddle is just something that has always fascinated. It's like a moth to a flame. Like no matter what, I'm always going to be drawn to that.
Yeah,
And see the diversity in welding, and know that like there's different avenues, and
correct.
maybe like I don't know what I'm going to be doing in 5 years. I don't know what the world's going to hold for us. I don't
Yeah.
know, you know, but for the day to day, like I could get used to where I'm going right now, like
But
very
you know
quickly.
what? One of the things is that, let's face it, I think the transition that you are going through right now, it's really going to help you in the long run because let's face it, we're also getting older and all that, so we cannot do the
Yeah,
same. At some point, the physicality of being a welder goes away. There's certain things that you can't do anymore. So starting a transition to a behind the scene, definitely it's a good move. to bring all that knowledge and pass it forward. Pass the torch forward.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
cool.
I mean, it's cool to see more and more, like the more respected welders kind of get behind the scenes and kind of help, you know, the companies out and help the companies like get a better end user result as opposed to like we said, there's still those some companies that are out there that they don't do that. They're just, hey, we've been doing the same thing for this long. We're just gonna put out what we put out, and like that's that. Let's put
That's it.
let's put touch screens on engine drive welders that are going to be in the Texas 115-degree Texas sun on a pipeline. Like,
I wonder what's going to
that is,
happen. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just some, I don't know, some things need to be done, and some things, just need to be simplified. And if there's a company out there that's willing to listen to, you know, the end user and people that have done it and know what needs to be done, or know like, hey, we don't need all these bells and whistles for this one machine right here. Like, if you just keep it simple, it works amazing for the person. But yeah,
Yeah.
there is a need for this really complicated machine too.
Correct.
Like, the balance of the two of those is necessary, I feel.
I totally agree. Well, Brad, I'm really sorry that I won't get to see you at FabTech because I get there on Tuesday morning. I'm doing a red eye from Phoenix Monday night straight into the booth Tuesday morning from a show to another show. So yeah, it's going to be a quite a week for me, but it is what it is. But I do know that I go to Texas 2 3 times a year. At least I try to. And last time when I was there, I was like, how far are you from where I'm at? I was like, ooh, that's a long drive. Maybe I'm gonna leave it
Yeah,
for the next time. Yeah.
yeah.
But
Texas
I wanted to
isn't
do this in
exactly
person.
a
Now I'm doing the video side.
Yeah, definitely, man. Yeah, anytime you're close to Central Texas, give me a holler. Like, I'm smack dab in between Austin and San Antonio. So
All right, that works. I do find myself there at least a couple of times a year, and especially now that someone's going to do ribs, then that's it. I'm in.
yeah, just let me know, man. I'm down.
For sure. Well, Brad, thank you so much for saying yes and taking this time early in the morning. I hope that your day goes well. I hope that FabTech goes well and the your new transition. With the knowledge you have, I know you're going to kill it. So they're lucky to have you as well, and it's an honor to call you an industry friend for sure. And I learned quite a few things from your journey, and I hope somebody else does, and they can see exactly why I created Torch Tales, which is, yeah, welding, great, but it's the person behind it. For
Yeah.
me, that's the icing of the cake. The brand, the machine, the process, and all that. We there's a lot of other avenues where people can learn all that, but it's the person for me that really matters behind that hood. So thank you, Brad.
Oh, thank you so much for what you do, Frank, man. I really enjoy the stories behind the stories. Like
Yeah,
seeing where people come from and knowing, a different avenue for to what we all do in welding is just, it's really cool.
yeah, for sure. Well, brother, I'm gonna let you go so I can go down there and enjoy Jamaica, man.
Yeah, man. Have a good time, brother.
All right, you too. Take care.